beautiful souls. It's Robin, and you're listening to the Live Life Balance podcast. I'm so excited that you dropped by today, prioritizing you and your wellness. This podcast is for my empty nester mamas, women who are getting close to this new chapter, who have dipped one toe in, or who are fully embracing this new phase. This is for the mamas who are ready to take back their health, to live their best lives. If you're looking for an authentic, supportive community, you're definitely in the right place. It's a space for us to learn how to prioritize ourselves again. I'll be your guide, pointing you to ideas and tools that you can experiment with to see what feels good for you. You'll also hear guests talking about their journeys and what's worked for them. Together, we're going to learn how to use the 1% shift method to create little shifts and habits that, who knows, maybe become your non-negotiables to feel your best. By feeling our best, we can show up in our purpose and live the most joyful life, even in the challenging times. And boy, this new chapter can seem challenging, but I can assure you we're not alone. Some of the topics we're going to talk about are self-love, self-care, nutrition, daily toxins, food swaps, mindset, and reframing our thoughts. I hope you leave each time feeling a little more empowered and at ease to take a step or two that will allow you to shine. Are you ready? If you said yes, take a nice deep breath and say, I am ready. Now let's get into it. Welcome. How are you?
I'm really good, Robin. How are you?
I'm doing good. Thanks so much for taking time, waking up early to come on and share your knowledge and your story. So if you want to just kind of start by telling your story, I think everybody could learn a lot from it.
Sure. So I'm Christine. I am a licensed nail tech here in the state of California. I run the brand Pointed and Polished. I have the Pointed and Polished podcast. I'm also the owner, founder of the Nail Allergies support group. And that is a group built on Facebook for those who have had allergic reactions to nail products, because that's what happened to me. So in 2019, 2020 was when I decided I was going to finally pursue this dream I had of going to manicuring school. I had a day job at the time, working in photo here in LA, and the two were kind of really going hand in hand. And, I had always loved getting my nails done. I was getting my acrylic and gel nails done regularly for over a decade at that point. I was going to the salon at least every 2 weeks. That was really my thing, right? Everyone has their thing. If that was my form of self-care, sitting at the salon, doing the nails. I loved looking at them. I loved having them. I loved everything about them. And so it really wasn't until 2019 or 2018, 19 that I decided I was going to start to pursue nails on my own and get my licensure to pursue it as a career eventually, hand in hand with photo. And so I started, building up my collection, doing things myself, doing my own nails. This went on for quite a while. And while all this was going on, I was experiencing a very wide array of different sorts of health issues. The first thing I noticed was that the skin around my lips and my eyes became very, very dry, cracking open, bleeding, peeling. It was really not pretty at all. And I really couldn't figure out what it was. I was getting rid of all sorts of soaps, shampoos, makeups, anything, that was touching my actual face. But alas, this was just not going away. And sometimes it was there and sometimes it was not. And another thing that would happen is I would break out into these hives and wheals that would start on my chest. They would go to my neck. Sometimes they would end up on my face, in my eyes, and they would just sort of pop up here, every now and again. And sometimes they were so painful that I had to go to the doctor and get cortisone shots. So really and my doctors were stumped at that point. We really didn't know what it was. We thought about, eliminating gluten from my diet. We were really just exploring everything, and never did this one common thread come about until I finally had like the allergic reaction to a nail polish remover, which was a gel remover I had used via the steam method. And so the reactions that you see a lot in my group, or what other people will talk about more commonly, is the reactions we have actually on our fingers, right? The fingertips become very red and swollen. The skin will peel off. The nails will start to lift and fall off. It's, it's really equivalent to like a chemical burn when you think about it or when you see it. And some reactions are a lot worse than others. There's blistering. And so this happened to me. It's incredibly painful. It took me about a year to heal from that allergic reaction. And so it really wasn't until this happened that it got me started, thinking about, is it my nail products? Because the whole time that I'm experiencing these rashes and, things on my face and on my legs and on my chest and on my face, I wasn't considering my nail products at all. So finally was able to get my turn in line for the patch test with my dermatologist for this acrylate panel. So the acrylate panel determines, everything that's contact dermatitis. So acrylates are what make up our gel and acrylic products. They also make up other things such as dental fillings and bone cements. So once you kind of have this allergy, you are, you really do have to kind of adjust these other medical procedures as well.
So I just want to stop 1 second because it's so, this is so fascinating. Makes a lot of sense, now that you're through all of the adventure of, learning and stuff, but it's so interesting to me that you had these other reactions, right? Which was really your body speaking to you, but it was just not understanding where it was coming from. And that last severe allergic reaction, obviously was the worst because it finally, was able to go to source. But I think that happens so often with other things as well. When people get a skin rash, right? When they have vitiligo, which is a skin autoimmune, when they have different things, people, I think it's becoming a little more mainstream, but not as much yet, but I think it's going to, it's not just where it is. It's typically from someplace else, but it's yeah. And it's hard to find, but I'm so thankful that, you kept digging, but that your body really showed you where it was, because without that, you would still be suffering in different ways, trying to find a solution. So,
yeah. Oh yeah. It showed itself big time for sure. It was really hard to ignore. The stress of it actually was giving me like cold sores. It was like a whole thing.
Yeah,
It was a
I
hot
can
mess
imagine.
for like 9 months, but and that's when identifying an allergy like from contact skin dermatitis is really difficult, because unlike food allergies where you kind of eat something and something like doesn't feel right kind of right away, skin allergies can take up to 48 hours, sometimes 3 days to really kind of manifest itself. So when we use these products, or when these allergens are entering our body through the skin, it's taking some time to kind of get through that protective barrier of our skin, which we've now breached kind of over and over and over. And then it's getting into the bloodstream. So even though I'm getting something maybe on my skin around, my cuticle area or around my nails, it's getting into the bloodstream, and now it's going all through my body, right? And it's not until 24 hours later that my body's like, oh wait, like, try now to fight this thing. Yeah, alert. And so that's when the rash pops up in all different places throughout the body.
So super interesting. And that does, this is bringing like all these like things in my mind, but your skin is your largest organ. And so everything goes through your skin, goes directly into your bloodstream. And that is like, my journey started with non-toxic products. I was always sort of like food, conscious, but really it was because my daughter had some skin issues, and I really started like deep diving into like the product side of things, learning a lot about greenwashing and all of this craziness, and then how it does get into your skin. And it does take, 24, 48, 72 hours to really show up. And half the time it's not showing up in the space in which it's coming from. So that makes it very tricky. But I have also learned that with food, sometimes you get that immediate reaction, but sometimes it does take that 24 to 48 hours. So again, very confusing for us to try to, it's like we have to be investigators to try to figure it out. But I'm so thankful and grateful that, you've had this experience, even though I know it was not a lot of fun, because you're getting to really educate people on this very important topic, because nails is a big thing for a lot of people. It is what they love to do for themselves, to have, I mean, I have a daughter who it's like every other week she wants to get her nails fixed, whatever, all the gels and the whatever. And so it's like, it's important to know that so I want you to keep going about the whole allergy part of it. And once you found out, what did you actually do?
Yeah. So obviously I was heartbroken. I was completely devastated, because it's to your point, like, and my, the group I've started, and like people who do their nails, like your daughter included, like not doing our nails is not an option. So
Right.
I don't know, part of it might have been a little bit denial, right? Maybe there was some denial like going on with like, what it was is I'm like, give up the mascara, give up this, give up, everything else, but like,
don't
like
take my
nails, what are you talking about? But, so I was sort of determined at that point, because basically I was told like, you're severely allergic, right? I had my patch test, you're severely allergic, don't touch that thing anymore. And like, that means you can't go to school. So I was just kind of like, what are you talking? I mean, I was absolutely devastated. I was heartbroken and went to school anyway. Like essentially it was just weeks away at that point. So I went anyway. And I really had this thought that was like, I'm going to be in an environment full of professionals, right? Like these are people who have been in the industry a long time. They know people, like we're going to figure this out. And really, much to my surprise, my discouragement, my disheartenment, it did not really go down that way. My journey was very frustrating. And that was when I knew that, okay, this is only up to me and me alone to advocate for myself and my health. Because if I want to keep doing nails, if I really want to pursue this, like I can't keep exposing myself the way that I am, because the thing about these allergies is they don't get better, they only get worse. So every exposure that you have after that, that reaction becomes worse every time. So what was maybe just a rash on my arm from leaning on the desk that had all the dust on it, in the school, right? Like not thinking about those things, or opening a gel bottle without gloves on that had, product on the rim, things like that. Each of those exposures, my reactions were getting worse and worse, ending up in urgent care 2 times. And it was that second time, shame on me, right? Like the second time was really like, okay, this is serious and something needs to change. And why is this? Like, why is nobody talking about this? Like, am I really the only one? So I started the Facebook group, and the Facebook group truly was like selfish reasons. I was like, someone else has to understand. Like, I want someone to explain to me what's going on. Right. So I started the Facebook group. I had about 200 people in it. It was really geared towards either nail techs or students who were in the same position as I was, navigating allergies. Are you doing nails? What are you using? What's going on here? And it was, a pretty well, run group. We had active participants, and everyone sort of said the same thing, like, yeah, we really need to talk about this. Well, it was 2020. We all know what happens next. So now everyone's at home. And before you know it, people are now buying these home gel dip acrylic kits on Amazon or wherever they're buying them from. And this group spiked what felt like overnight from just those couple hundred people to thousands. Wow. Overnight. And this is really when my eyes opened to this issue, and the rise in nail product allergies really came to be and get the attention, especially here in the US, with the rise of these home kit, quote, uses.
That's so interesting. And, as you're speaking about this, again, it is so important to get this message out, because so many people could potentially could potentially, be suffering right now and not know what it's related to. And maybe they are someone that gets their nails done every week or every other week. And I do feel like, with the home kits, it could be that their products are not as well made. It could be the fact that you're just ingesting, toxins that you're not used to. And what I keep thinking about for you is, yes, you had all of those, you talk about like touching the powder or like the gel on it. And I just keep thinking like inhalation. When you're in those salons, you're inhaling that too. So yeah, it's like a 2-for-1, not good,
The bottom line is the people who are most at risk for gel allergies or nail product allergies are, one, nail techs, because they're constantly in the environment. The dust is kind of everywhere. The vapors are there. And that's why it's important for a reputable salon to have very good ventilation and dust extractors and, sanitation techniques. Like, that's really what's going to help over time. So they're number one at risk if there is sort of like a service breakdown at any point. Those little things add up. And number two is going to be the home user. If you're someone that sees a trusted nail tech, you've been seeing them a long time, like they use a professional brand, you've never had an issue with them, keep on that path. That's going to be your safest and best option. But these kits that we buy online most of them come from China. Most of them come with a cheap lamp that is not curing products all the way. So my thing is, you hear this a lot, is like, oh, I'm going to do my nails at home to save money. It really doesn't work that way, because a $20 gel lamp is not going to cure, even if you buy a higher grade US or UK made product, because that $20 lamp, it doesn't have the wattage needed to fully cure. And it's really hard to tell. It's really misleading, because, you cure your nails and you tap them and like, oh, they seem hard to me. But if each time that they're like 10% under cured, that's exposure. So you keep kind of exposing yourself each time. And it really only takes a handful of times of that exposure, which is exactly what happened to me, or misuse. And what I mean by misuse is like, not just under curing, but like, say, we all do it. We flood the cuticle the first time, right? We use a little too much. We do it a little too thick. We get a little on our skin and we don't wipe it off right away. All those little things are what's going to cause the overexposure. So now sort of the follow-up issue that I see is, it's like, okay, won't buy the no-name brand from China from Amazon, which, like, don't buy nail products from Amazon ever. Like, that's just rule number one. But now we're all being sold to, we always had these buzzwords, right? Of like organic, non-toxic, 7 free, 99 free. We had all these things already in our face. And now with the rise of like the awareness of nail allergies, especially in the professional world, everyone's kind of jumping on this bandwagon. And it's really hard to tell what's true and what's not.
Yeah. And I think that's just a life general rule at this point. It's, what does those markings on products actually mean truthfully, right? Not just a gimmick, not just whatever. And so people that are looking at purchasing just regular nail polish, right? What are some things, that maybe they don't go to the salon to get gel, but maybe they just want to paint their nails. Are there particular ingredients? Because I'm huge about ingredient reading, like with food and products. So, but I haven't really given it a huge investigation into the nail world. I know you and I had a brief conversation back when my kids were super little. We did like piggy paint, but, I don't even know if that's a great brand, but at the time, it was like what we could find that seemed Like it was
Yeah.
good. But I know there has to be certain things to avoid. I'm sure of it just because that's in general a rule of thumb for toxic products, food or body and I would assume nail too. So what
Yeah.
is your take on that?
My take on that is, look, nail polish is nail polish. There's no such thing as non-toxic nail polish. The
Okay.
ingredients that are in the nail polish that make it function the way it does are inherently toxic, but we're really not using it in doses, in high enough doses that are deemed dangerous. Nail polish is actually very safe to use because of how it's intended to be used. Any of these, levels of toxins that people claim are in nail polish, like, you see it all the time, 7 free, 9 free. It's like, these companies are now starting to like one up each other, right?
Sure.
Of like, I don't have all these things in it, but most of that stuff, I'll tell you, was never in nail polish to begin with. I equate it to putting a label on an apple, labeling an apple vegan.
Right.
It's it's
Right.
like, great, like, yes, it's true, but there was nothing ever in this apple that would make
Well,
me,
that's what I think that very same thing with gluten-free. It's like putting gluten-free on an apple. It's like, well, when did gluten, when was that in an apple? It's like, okay, but people do that. And then they're like, oh, this is a gluten-free apple. Okay, I'm going to eat that then, but again, it's just not having enough experience, exposure, research, reading, to understand really. So if there is, so this is my thinking. It's like, yes, you came in contact with something that eventually gave you an explosive type of reaction.
Yeah.
But I'm just sitting here wondering how many people aren't having those explosive reactions, but are having some type of a reaction, even if it's an internal reaction, because what makes one person react versus another person react worse? Or is everybody reacting, but some are more heightened than others? That's my question, I
If
guess.
you're going to use a highly allergenic product, such as a gel or acrylic, the products that contain the allergenic monomers. So the monomers are what make up, and the acrylates make up our gel and acrylic products.
Okay.
And the monomers are the tiny molecules that can penetrate our skin. So it's really getting these monomers on our skin that we need to be concerned about. So my recommendation would be to avoid home gel, acrylic, or any sort of product that needs to be cured, because you're just sort of opening up a world of mistakes to happen. It's just too easy to do. Where professionals, we do have the training, from school. We also have access to higher quality professional grade products that are made in the US or in the UK, depending on where you are. If you're going to get something that's like a home use gel kit, it's most likely coming from China, and they come with these high levels of allergens. The top one that you'll see floating around is HEMA, HEMA. That's short for hydroxyethyl methacrylate. It's a highly allergenic acrylate that makes gels work. But there's also a family of other methacrylates and acrylates that all serve the same kind of purpose and function that make these gels work. But these are highly, highly allergenic. I would recommend sticking to regular nail polish. If it makes you feel better that they have that 7 free label on it, great. I think go for it. It certainly can't hurt, but just know that every time someone says something is free of something, it is going to be replaced with something else.
100%. That's right.
In order for it to function. So if you do say, it's very unlikely that you're going to have a reaction to regular nail polish that you can buy at a, reputable store. So if you do shop at Sally Beauty's or just on the OPI website or the Orly website, these general, these sort of large generic brands, you're pretty good. So the things you want to look for when shopping for these products are the ingredients even listed? They need to be listed because, the FDA regulates cosmetics. Nail polish falls into the cosmetics category. So the ingredients need to be listed. They're usually listed from most to the least, right? And if you're thinking, I used this one product one time and my hands were a little itchy after, start to do a compare of the two. But you are way less likely to react to regular polish. So
Okay.
I would say stick with that. Stick with these reputable brands, ones that have a customer service line, that have a way to reach them, right? Like, God forbid anything happens, and that can provide you an SDS, because the only way that a regular polish is really going to harm you is if you get it on your skin a lot, or if you consume it, or like purposely inhale it, right? These are all like grave misuse of the product, but it's not going to penetrate your nail plate in a way that these toxins that are in our nail polish that are really going to do any harm to us.
That's good to know. And so, I'm thinking about getting like manicures, and when they cut your cuticles, or pedicures, but when they cut your cuticles, if you get a nick, or you get a whatever, and then people end up sometimes getting, an infection or something. I'm just curious, is it because there was a nick, or is it because the polish, then touched that and that had something in it that then reacted? So that's interesting, like that take on.
Yeah. So what we're referring to when we talk about the cuticle is actually called the proximal nail fold. And that is actually living skin that it protects our nail matrix, which is, kind of just past the nail bed here. It's what allows our nails to grow out and allows them to grow healthy. And the proximal nail fold really does a very good job at protecting us from bacteria getting into that area. So when we talk about the cuticle is actually the dead skin that forms. It grows out. It's like ends up on the nail plate. We scrape it off. But the proximal nail fold can be pushed back, but it should not really be trimmed. And it can be kind of hard to identify. It kind of sometimes it looks like loose skin, but really when it's living, we do want to keep that skin living and keep that intact to protect us from, bacteria. Just like anything else, right? We have our eyelashes that do that, and like, other things in our body. So when that's trimmed, we do kind of risk that bacteria getting in, but most likely, especially when it comes to like the pedicure tubs, if they cut that proximal nail fold and you get, like, say you do get a cut and you bleed, it's the water that's in the pedicure tub that's going to most likely cause the infection.
Okay. See, I'm learning all this new stuff. I love it. So since you discovered that you had this allergy, what were steps that you had to take in order to safeguard yourself? Because obviously, like you said, it was devastating, that news. Would you be able to do nails? Do you still do nails? How do you handle it all now? Because you don't appear to have any rashes or anything, you're super, cute. Your nails look like they're done. So obviously you're still doing something.
Oh, these nails are always done. I told you, it's not an option to not do them. I gotta say, it was a very frustrating journey, right? Because me, like so many others, I really just wanted to find the product that worked. And looking back, and really what I preach now is like, I get it. There's like this sense of panic that comes over us, nail enthusiasts, where it's like, okay, well, what do I use? Like, what about this one? What about this one? This guy told me it was, made of seaweed. This one told me it's semen-free. This one told me it's organic. This one told me this. And we're constantly being marketed to, and we're constantly being sold to. And that was the most frustrating part for me, because I had front door access to brands that were coming to my school, and I was able to ask them questions directly. Yet I really wasn't getting the cut and dry answers that I wanted. I was getting the, oh, well, it's free of this. And it's like, but what's in it? You know, what's in the box? What is in it?
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I started really deep diving more into acrylate, methacrylate families, what one allergen can lead to another, and really fully understanding my allergy, and importantly, putting my health and safety before all of this. That's really what changed for me. And then I was sort of able to look into products myself. And, you know, the products that I use are very transparent and open about, yeah, here's what's in them. Here's what we represent. Here's how we formulate our products. Here's the SDS. Here's all the information that you would need to use them.
And so since you started to do that, have you been having any type of reaction? Do you use gel? And
you know, I did find a gel brand that works really well for me. But over time, I know that this allergy can only get worse. So even though I use a hypoallergenic brand of gel on my clients, and did on myself for a little while, you know, hypoallergenic literally means less allergenic. It doesn't mean non-allergenic. So I know my allergy well enough now that just because I can use a hypoallergenic brand now doesn't mean that over time I could become exposed to some of the oligomers that are in this product. So I choose myself not to use gel at all at this point. And just
so they're your own nails, and then you just paint them with real, not real, but just regular nail polish.
Yes.
Okay. Well, your nails look amazing. I mean, they do. I mean, you know, people want that acrylic. They want that gel to last longer. They want it to have, you know, 10 feet long nails, you know, the whole thing. But it's like, what keeps kind of popping up in my head is natural beauty, right? It's your natural state of your nails. It's like, you can grow your nails out. I mean, everybody's capable, you know, and
it doesn't feel like that though.
Right.
You know,
no,
like,
you're right.
And that's like the important thing I like stress to my Facebook community so much, because there really is this sense of panic. I can't go. Never in a million years did I think I was not going to have the 1.5-inch acrylic nails with the gel and the glitter and the diamonds and the sticker. I did that. I did that for over a decade. That was part of my identity. It really was. And to really put, like, it just gets to a point where it's just not worth it. And I just want everyone to know you can learn to love your nails again. You can feel beautiful. You can have that self-care time. I love nail stamping. I love nail art. I love doing other people's nails. I love doing my nails. You know, with regular polish, I change my color every 3 days. You know, there's
all in how you look at it.
Yeah, there's all these like new loves that have like popped up for it. And so I just kind of want people to know there is hope, especially in a world where, you know, I come and I talk to you and I come to talk to other people in my group. I'm like, don't do this, don't do that. No, 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 no. You know, I'm just sort of like always being like, don't do it. Like, don't end up like me. But I want people to know there is many, many safe and awesome ways to do your nails, and they can grow. They will. If mine can, anyone's can.
That's right. And again, I think it brings it back to this societal norm that has happened with how we look and what we do to look a certain way. And honestly, I feel like if nothing else, you know, you're beautiful the way that you are, right? You're beautiful. And, you know, if you want to use makeup, great, but you're still beautiful without. If you want to use nail polish, great, but you're still beautiful without. If something makes you feel good, you know, and that's how you pamper yourself, you just have to learn to do it in a safe way. So, you know, again, I'm thinking for like people that have like skin conditions and that, what did you call that?
Dermatitis.
Yes, dermatitis. It's like, if you're somebody suffering with dermatitis and you've looked at all options and look at your nails. I mean, that's a great thing just to be aware of, because again, I think it's not something a lot of people think about, because that then would be able to transfer, you know, the toxin into your body, and have a reaction. So again, this whole podcast for me is just educating people on things that maybe we would not have thought about in our wellness, on our wellness journeys. And then just kind of, it's bio individual. Look at yourself.
Yes.
Are you having weird skin things? Do you have reactions to other things? Are you, sometimes, like you said, they don't even seem like they're related, but they are. And so that patch test, is that something that you go to the dermatologist to get done if somebody is suffering with something and now maybe they're having light bulbs go off and be like, oh, I want to see if I have that, because maybe that is my answer to my question?
Yeah. So the best way to obtain, it's called an extended patch test. It's done by just a select few dermatologists. You go to connect.Derm.org. It's the US Center for Contact Dermatitis. And if you kind of click, they have a search function for like who offers extended patch tests. As of right now, I live in LA. I'm very lucky. I live, very close to one of the biggest medical schools and research facilities, in Southern California. So I was able to get a patch test within about 8 months, but they are usually long wait lists, about a year or so, for these acrylate panels. But I think we'll start seeing them more and more, especially as this allergy is on the rise. Not so much due to nail products, but, once you are allergic to this set of acrylates, it can really affect the quality of life of others, such as, the example I was given was diabetics who have to wear like glucose monitors, on them. That adhesive that holds it on, that's like also highly allergenic. So some people, it's like really posing a very, strong quality of life issue for them if they can't wear it. For someone like me and my allergy, I can't really be hooked up to a heart monitor. I can't get my hip replaced. I can't get traditional dental fillings. Like, these are all the things that come with this allergy. It's really not just about doing nails. So if you are experiencing like a wide array of health issues, or you think like, I actually haven't really touched nail products in 3 months and I'm still having reactions, then definitely pursue a patch test. But I think if you did your nails at home a couple times, you notice it's starting to swell and there's blisters, we know what it is, right? We can deduce from there, kind of the main culprits. And I don't think it's worth pursuing a patch test. It's, it's expensive. It's a long process. It's extremely painful. It's, it's really not just something you just go out and just get casually.
Okay. So, I'm trying to, for somebody who might have like, like you were saying, like the rash around the lips or the eyes or, the hives and stuff, they haven't quite gotten to the blisters and all of that, so they're still digging. If in your experience and what you've learned from this, if someone is kind of having those smaller triggers or like outwardly symptoms, if they were to not do their nails for, 3 weeks or something, would you see a difference?
You need to take it very seriously. The smallest signs you need to take seriously, because like I said, every exposure that you have, that reaction gets worse and worse. If your first, exposure reaction is the little water blisters, or maybe they were a little swollen or a little itchy, 2 days after, you have to take those signs very seriously as an allergy to these products. Also, a really big thing, don't bite your nails. Biting your nails is the worst thing you can do, especially when you wear product on them, regular or not. That's also a fast way. We shouldn't be consuming these things. That's another fast way to expose yourself. You got to take these early signs very seriously. And, I see a lot of folks in my group, also say like, wow, I noticed it right away. And I've sort of was able to avoid that hospital visit. I was able to avoid, the things we see on the page, the complete, breakdown of skin and the splitting and the burning and the redness and the swelling, you've got to take all these signs seriously, because your next one is going to be a little more serious than the one before that and the one before that. And I hate to say it, and it's so heartbreaking and it's terrible, but you got to just throw them away. They got to be gone from your life.
Yeah. But that doesn't mean it's the end of your life, and it doesn't mean it's the end of your nails, and it's just reframing the way you look at things. So thank you so much for, sharing all of the knowledge and your experience, because I think it's, something that is going to resonate with a lot of people. And so if someone's looking and feeling like they might have this, and then they end up, finding out that they do, where can they find you? Like, where can they join your group? Where are all the things they can find you at?
Yes, come find us on Facebook, the Nail Allergies Disease and Disorders Support Group. If you search nail allergy support, we should be the first one that pops up. We are an incredible supportive community. Would not be here today without the support of this community, because I needed everyone as much as, they needed me. And we have so many knowledgeable people in the group. We have people that are just like you, that are just coming in and, wondering where to start. It's an incredibly supportive community. And then I would say, I've also started a new group called the Polished Nail Tech, which, if you are a nail tech and you believe in health and safety for clients first, as well as for your salon, you may run a hypoallergenic salon, or you are pursuing running a fully hypoallergenic salon, definitely join us at the Polished Nail Tech for kind of more education and business support as well.
Awesome. And then do you have social media?
You can find my podcast called Pointed and Polished.
Okay.
And you can find me at Pointed and Polished on Instagram.
Perfect. And I'll drop all of that. If you're driving or whatever, I'll drop it all in the show notes, so you'll know where to find Christine. Before we end, I always ask my client or my interviewers, what are 1 to 3 things that you do every day to create your best wellness?
Oh my goodness. I have a very solid morning routine. I know that's something you talk about. I start with because as you also know, proper nutrition and health is really the best way to long, strong, healthy nails. So always eat well, start your day with a healthy breakfast, start it with lemon water, and that's the best way to start. And then I do make time for self-care, which for me is doing nails, or sometimes it's just painting fake nails for the fun of it, and to just do something for the sake of doing it, right? Like,
creative outlet.
Create that self-care time. That's even awesome. If it's just 20 minutes. Sometimes I'll put the timer on for 30 minutes. And that's really just to walk away from the phone, walk away from the laptop, and just do something,
for
fun.
You.
Yeah.
I love that. I love setting the timer, and because I feel like even when people have the desire to do something always pulls them away. So I love that timer idea. That's a great tool to use to allow yourself that space. So I'm gonna remind people to do that. I love that. So, well, thank you again for coming on. I really do feel like this was such an important topic to talk about, especially for moms who do their nails, and for moms who have daughters that do their nails, and just to make awareness. I mean, this is all about being aware, and also there are other options. And that's what I always like to point out. There are there's swaps for everything. And it depends on how you want to run your wellness journey. Making these easy swaps are things that are doable, and they're in your power. So that's kind of, again, what I love about this podcast is just giving people information, and then allowing people to choose what works for them and what doesn't. So
exactly.
I am super excited about your podcast that's coming. I definitely will be an avid listener. I can't wait to learn more from you. And I'm going to drop them in my children's podcast list as well, so they can get the whisper. So thank you so much for coming on. I hope you have a beautiful day, and I will talk to you soon.
Thank you, Robin. Appreciate the time.
You're welcome. And bye to everybody listening. And just check out the show notes, because I will drop everything about Christine and all of the takeaways that we just were able to get and gather from this conversation. So I will see y'all later. Have a good day.
Bye.
thanks for tuning in today. I loved being here with you. I hope that you got something from today's episode. I'd love to hear what resonated with you. Drop a comment below, and if you feel led to, download the episode and share it with someone you love that needs to hear this message. As we continue to spread the goodness of this podcast, I'd love for you to help us by leaving a review on Apple Podcast or a rate on Spotify. As we increase listeners, we will come up more often when women are searching for podcasts to listen to. To stay connected with me, you can check out my social media pages at Live Life Balanced with Robin. You can check out my website at livelifebalancedwithrobin.com. You can book a discovery call. And if you're looking for a way to get started right now, you can opt in for my new quick guide for the empty nester refresh. You can join my waitlist for my new course, It's Your Time, which is going to be launching soon, which I'm super excited about. And as always, thank you for letting me be part of your day. It truly means a lot that you're allowing me to be on your wellness journey with you. Until next time, find peace, love, and light by breathing, being present, and allowing for all possibilities to happen.